Well, hi everyone. Welcome to the New England Racing Show, Manchester, New Hampshire, Channel 23. Also on YouTube and Facebook. Like us on Facebook, you'll get it automatically on your Facebook page. And I'm your host, Bill Sturgis. Well, I found someone gave me a link on Facebook of this really cool website down in Connecticut. It's called racedayct.com. CT stands for Connecticut. And it's done by Sean Korchesny, who was formerly the motorsports writer for the Hartford Courant newspaper. And I guess local media papers don't feel like covering local racing much anymore. They just take what the Sprint Car Cup feeds them and they post that. So he's like us. He wants to give everyone an idea what's going on locally and give some publicity to the local racers. So he's got this section on racedayct.com called Race Day Pit Pass. And if you go on his website and click on the Pit Pass, it's a really cool way to get the word out on your team, your driver, car owner, everything, without having to build your own web page. And I'm going to read a little bit from what he has here. The Race Day CT Pit Pass program was built to help create support for the website Race Day CT, while we strive to create a news source that can be fully supported by advertising income. He says, ultimately, the biggest beneficiaries of what I'm doing with Race Day CT are the drivers, crew members, team owners, and local racing fans who are looking for news about the sport they cover. So he's created Race Day Pit Pass program as a way to open the door for a level of support from within the pits while still giving back something of tangible value that can be used in many ways. Drivers that are a part of the Race Day CT Pit Pass program will be given their own page on the website. For example, Ryan Preece, who many of you know was the Whelen Tour Modified Tour champion this year, past year. He has his own web page on this website. And that is Ryan's page to do with it whatever he wants, within acceptable standards of decency, of course. The pages can be a 5,000-word biography. It can be profiles of crew members, links to sponsors, stories about sponsors, videos, photographs, social media embeds. The possibilities are endless. And this page will be tailored to whatever you want it to be, and all the work in creating and updating it will be done by me, Sean. Your only obligation is to tell me what you want there to start, and then send me any updates or changes you want to make whenever you want to make them. The space is infinite and the ideas are endless. This page will give you something you can share with others online, something to show potential sponsors as part of publicity that will involve your team, or something that your own sponsors can use themselves to help promote their business. The page will also be regularly promoted through all streams of the social media related to racedayct.com. And the cost to be part of this program is $25 per month. This is a price that is as much about supporting the site in a type of pseudo subscription as it is about you being able to use the site to promote your team, your activities, your sponsors, and anything else you see fit at a price far lower than any other traditional website design or upkeep or formal public relations program. And he has his email address or contact. Go on the website and you can contact Sean, which I think is a great idea. So my sons PJ and Jake will be sharing a page, and we're going to do this for sure. And just to show you a few people that are already on there. We have Woody Pitcat, Ryan Priest, TC, Teddy Christopher, Sean Foster, Doug Kobe, Joey Ferrigno, Timmy Jordan, and let's see who else we have here. Jimmy Blewett, and the Northeast Mini Stock Tour, Glenn Thomas Jr. So if you're part of any tour or race at any track in Connecticut or New England, I guess, you can be part of this, which I think is really going to take off. So I just want to pass that on to all the racers that are watching the show. Okay, what do we have here? We have coming up this past weekend, we went to, a week and a half ago, we went to the Northeast Racing Expo up in Augusta, Maine, which was really a good show put on by Steve Perry of Mainly Motorsports. Steve has another show coming up. I believe he's really involved in it in Portland, Maine, February 21st and 22nd. At the Portland, Maine Expo is another racing show. And before then is another big one down in Marlborough, Mass. It's the Racers Expo, Friday and Saturday, February 7th and 8th. It's at the Royal Plaza Hotel in Marlborough, Mass, exit 24B off 495. And that Saturday night, Saturday, February 8th at 6:30, is their annual Kart Clash down at F1 Boston. And you can sign up for that at the Racers Expo website. They have 5 weight classes, so, you know, all from the lightweights. You can get all the ladies that want to race against each other, or some of the real light guys, and that way everyone has an equal chance, and you get all the big guys at the end, and they putt around pretty slow because they all weigh like 100 pounds more than the light people. Kind of fun to watch. We'll be there taping. Dave McGuire will be there taping, the Star Speedway guy. So we'll have quite a bit of tape for you, and we're going to be at the show taping the vendors, interviewing vendors about their products, and also showing you the cars that are on display. Another thing coming up March 1st is the DT 100, put on by Dave Thomas Jr. The name sounds familiar. Remember Dave Thomas Sr., who was the super modified driver at Star Speedway? He passed away recently, and he was one of the best drivers to hop in the super modify as far as I'm concerned. But Junior is doing this with the profits and all proceeds going to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which everyone knows about. It's a fantastic program that provides sick children, gives them something to go to. They make a wish where they want to go, and it gives them family and them a little vacation. So I hope everyone goes to that, or if you want to make a donation to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, you can send a check to Dave Thomas Jr. Go on his Facebook page. They're going to have 100 racers there, 100 drivers, and it's an all-day event. It's up at the Maine Indoor Karting up in Scarborough, Maine. My son and some of his friends went there this past Friday to get a little unfair advantage on people, but I'm sure there's a lot of the drivers that are going up there. So that's coming up. Also on March 1st and 2nd, if you remember, it used to be Racerama, put on by Val LeSueur. That ended, and it's picked up by, I think it's Frank Marotti, and he has the show now. It's called Frank Marotti's Racerama and Race Car Show, and that's at the Big E in Springfield, Mass. We all know where that is and what the show's all about. So you got some shows coming up that will keep everyone busy and get their blood going for racing. get you to work on your cars when you're 0 degrees out like it is today. And then we have, as I talked about last week, the Tri-Track Open Series, which, if you know the SBM 125 that was at Star last year, the series is being expanded to 3 tracks. On Sunday, May 11th, they're going to start off at Lee Speedway. I believe that's a 100-lap race. And also along with them will be the Small Block Supers. And this will be their first points race of the year. They were invited to take part in that, and we had our small block meeting a little over a week ago, and everyone voted, yeah, we want to be part of that. So they'll be there. And while we're at it, you know, what's the racing show without a little bit of video? So we're going to show you some in-car camera from Jake Sturgis's Super Modified Small Block Super at Lee last year. So let's go with that. Small blocks have a ZZ4 603 crate engine, pretty much the same engine that the ACT drivers use on their tour, except they do a 2-barrel, and we use a 650 Harley 4-barrel. Gives us about 375, 380 horsepower, and the cars weigh 1650, I believe, with the driver. So that's a lot of horsepower to weight ratio. I mean, other than Ismo, I think the only ones more than that are full NEMA cars, which put out about 340 horse and they weigh 1,000 pounds. And those are unbelievable. We expect about 15 to 18 cars this year at Lee. Hopefully there'll be more, because there are a few supers sitting out there, either with or without an engine. And these crate engines are only about $6,000. So it's really an affordable series. On a track like Lee, my opinion is I think they could use a little more power, and maybe that can be addressed in the next year or two. There we go. Jake likes the outside, makes me really nervous stuff. I'm still amazed at how close these guys race to each other without hitting each other. Left of Drake is the 59 Mo Lattery. And way ahead of us, I'm not sure who that is. He took off, and we'll see if we can catch him. PJ used to drive the car for a few years, and we went to Star Speedway one day to practice, and we kept making changes and getting a little faster and a little faster. And then PJ says to Jake, you want to give it a shot? So Jake hops in the car, never having been in the car, used to driving midgets, and he starts doing like Eddie Whitcomb, going sideways through the corners after about 6 laps. And I'm flipping out, trying to signal him to slow down, but as usual, he won't even look at me. And I'm timing him, and he's like 1/10 of a second faster than PJ. So PJ, when he finally comes in, we go into the pits, and PJ says, well, looks like we got a new driver. And Jake's been driving it ever since. I think that was Jim Barker, who just passed. Jim's an old timer, and he's having fun. Driving the Super. Can't say I blame him. We're trying to catch the leader there. I don't know if we have enough laps to do that. Doing his Eddie Whitcomb special, going sideways. Before I saw Eddie, I didn't think anyone could drive a Super like that, but him and Jake can do it. They're the only two I know that can do that. Now we're catching him, but geez, I think we're hitting the end of the race here. Coming up on another lap car. That might slow the leader down a little bit. Depends when he catches him. No, we got around him pretty quickly. Amazing how some of these drivers, they can do 30 laps and be, 1 or 2/10 difference between all the laps. Just shows you what good drivers they are and how consistent they are. Lee is tough on tires. After 25 laps or so, your right sides are going away, and you're just hanging on. Which amazes me how the ISMA cars come here and they do 75 laps straight out. Start off with 2 full tanks of methanol. they're hanging on too, but it's quite a show. That ISMA race. That comes up in August of this year. Last year it got rained out, which was really terrible because that's my favorite race of the year. For supers. Well, I think that was it. We just about caught the leader. But good effort by Jake and everyone else there. Talking about the Tri-Track Open Series, it starts off at Lee on May 11th, Sunday at 2 p.m. Then it goes to Star in June, the SBM 125, which was a fantastic race last year. My son PJ and I went down on the infield, and we stood in the first and second corners by the light pole with a couple of the photographers. And here the cars are coming around the corner, maybe 30 feet from you, side by side. I couldn't hear for like a week after that. And my son said he'd never seen anything like it. They run on gas, so they were even louder than the super modifieds. So let's put that on your schedule for sure. That was the premier race last year, and that'll be one of the three this year. And the third one is in July at Seekonk at Modified Madness. And these are open shows. They're not the Valente type where they ride around for 50 laps. I mean, you can't do that here because the competition is just too great. You start riding around and you're going to have a problem. So they're going to have cars from the Whelen Modified Tour, maybe a few from the Southern Modified Tour if there's not a schedule conflict. And they'll have cars from the Race of Champions series, the Valente, and that's what's nice about especially the Star race and the Seekonk, where you don't need to have a lot of horsepower. And I remember a few years ago we were practicing down at Seekonk in April or early April, and there was a tour car practicing. He was pitted right next to us, and they said they had to detune their engine to race at Seekonk because it's not a horsepower track. So that's going to put the Valente guys and maybe some of the SK guys too from Waterford and Stafford and Thompson all on an even keel here. So that's going to be real interesting to see that. Lap sponsorships for the three tracks are still available. So if you want to sponsor a lap with your company's name or your name, your race team's name, go on Facebook. It's James Schaefer. I don't know if it's Jim or James. And he's a big modified fan. He lives on Long Island, I believe, by Riverhead Speedway. And he's helping to put this on along with the local promoters, Bobby Weber Jr., Red McDonald, and down in Seekonk. And Jim can get you hooked up with sponsoring a lap. I know we're sponsoring a couple at Lee. Also, if you want to sponsor one of the super modified laps, we're doing 30 laps at Lee, and I think we'll be selling sponsorships for those laps too. So you can get a hold of Bill Callen, and he's on Facebook also, and he'll be glad to take your sponsorship for the small block series. Being the first race, it'll be like our Daytona 500, so to speak, one of the biggest races of the year for us, and the first race of the year. And let's see, what's up next is ice racing. There's 3 ice racing associations here in New Hampshire. I know the weather was kind of warm till yesterday, and the ice wasn't thick enough. But I'm sure this Sunday coming up, after 5 or 6 days of highs in the teens, that the ice will be thick enough. And we'll find out. They have the Lakes Region Ice Racing Club, New England Ice Racing Association, and Jaffrey Ice Racing Association. So I'd like to go to see some of the ice racing and show you some tapes from that. They have, I think it's like a 4-cylinder Ironman division type thing, modifieds with the wings on them. They look like old supers. And some late models. And they put chains on the tires. They don't run spikes, but they run chains. And from what I heard, these guys are really crazy. So I'll be looking forward to going up and covering some of that for you next week. And we'll have more updates and a little more in-car camera. We'll get some of the schedules of the different touring series and let you know where everybody's going to be. And we'll keep busy. And then we have the Racers Expo to go to, the Portland, Maine show, and Dave Thomas DT100. So we'll have quite a bit to show you. Keep you busy till racing action starts. And the first race, by the way, is the Blast-Off weekend at Waterford. NEMA Midgets, among a lot of others, will be there. So we'll be there too. And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.